Imagine a quiet night under a sky full of stars, a soft breeze moving gently through the leaves. Beneath the Bodhi tree sits a young man who once lived among wealth and power. His eyes are closed, yet his mind is vividly awake. This is Siddhartha Gautama, the prince who walked away from a throne, a kingdom, and all the comforts of royal life to search for an answer to a deeply human question. Why do people who long so much for happiness still suffer? Perhaps that question has visited you on sleepless nights. You've worked hard, sought love, chased success, bought things to fill the silence, and yet some emptiness lingers. We believe happiness will come when we have enough money, enough achievements, enough love. But somehow, the weariness, the loneliness, and the uncertainty remain. More than 2,500 years ago, the Buddha felt the same. After years of searching, he awakened to a truth at once simple and profound. Suffering has causes, and there is a path that leads beyond it. That path is the Noble Eightfold Path, Marga, a practical way to live with clarity, transform pain, and find peace even in the middle of ordinary life. The Eightfold Path is not a set of dry commandments or rigid moral rules. It's more like a map for living with wisdom and compassion. It has 8 aspects: right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. But don't imagine them as 8 chores on a spiritual to-do list. They're more like 8 interwoven threads that together create a strong fabric to hold you steady when life feels uncertain. Before exploring each of these, it helps to know where the path fits in the Buddha's teaching. It comes from the larger framework of the 4 Noble Truths, the foundation of everything he taught. These 4 truths are like a doctor's diagnosis. Dukkha, the truth of suffering. Life holds pain, not only in the body, but in our disappointments, anxieties, and unfulfilled dreams. Samudaya, the truth of the cause. This suffering arises from craving and attachment, from wanting things to stay when everything changes. Nirodha, the truth of cessation. Freedom is possible when we release that clinging and ignorance. And finally, Magga, the truth of the path, the way to end suffering, which is the Noble Eightfold Path itself. The Buddha once compared this to medicine, first recognizing the illness, then identifying its cause, discovering it can be healed, and finally prescribing the cure. The Eightfold Path is that cure, not abstract philosophy, but a living, breathing way to heal our confusion and suffering. Let's start with right view, seeing clearly. We often live in illusions, believing success will last forever, that people should always act as we wish, that pain is unfair punishment. Right view means seeing life as it really is, impermanent, governed by cause and effect, and shaped by our own clinging. Just as a skilled surgeon must understand every vessel and nerve before making an incision, we must understand reality before acting wisely. Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh once said, "When you feel bored, you are not with your breath, you are with your boredom." Right view is that return to what is real, instead of drowning in frustration and stories. When we see clearly, the storms in the mind begin to calm. From seeing comes right intention, the resolve to let go, to cultivate kindness, and to do no harm. Think of the moment just before you reply to an irritating message, the pause where you choose between anger and patience. That is right intention. One Zen story tells of a monk sweeping the temple courtyard each morning. When asked why he was so careful, he smiled. "I sweep not only the leaves, but also my anger." Every action starts with a thought. When the mind is gentle, life follows. Then comes right speech, words that are truthful and kind. In an age of comment wars and quick reactions, this is almost revolutionary. It's not about never disagreeing, it's about speaking with honesty and care. Is it true? Is it helpful? Will it connect or divide? Pausing before you hit send is a quiet but powerful act of mindfulness. Right action flows from there. It means living in a way that doesn't harm. You don't need grand gestures. A doctor who explains kindly to a worried patient, a shopkeeper who stays honest when no one's watching, a parent who listens deeply to their child. These are right actions. They're small, but they shape lives quietly and deeply. With right action comes right livelihood, earning a living without deceit or harm. Not everyone can change jobs overnight, but everyone can examine the impact of their work. Are you selling what you wouldn't want to buy? Are you exploiting pain or contributing to something good? A Zen master once said, "A fish does not need to leave the ocean to swim freely. It only needs to know its water." Right livelihood doesn't demand quitting your career. It asks for integrity in the one you already have. Next is right effort, steady, balanced energy. Not the frantic hustle we glorify, but the patient tending of what is wholesome and the gentle release of what isn't. Like gardening, pulling weeds, watering what's good, not raging at the weather. It's showing up again and again to breathe, to practice kindness, to stop gossip before it starts. Quiet work, steady warmth. Right mindfulness weaves everything together. It's being fully awake to your life as it unfolds. Eating and tasting each bite. Listening and truly hearing. Catching a thought before it drags you down a dark spiral. As Zen teacher Thich Nhat Hanh wrote, "Walk as if you are kissing the earth with your feet." Mindfulness is not exotic. It's simply living this moment instead of losing it. Finally, right concentration. The strength of a mind that can stay with one thing. Not just sitting in meditation, though that helps, but reading without constant distraction, listening without wandering, working with depth instead of scattering. A focused mind doesn't shrink life, it frees it. These 8 aspects aren't about becoming someone else. They return you to your truest self, clearer, kinder, and freer. Zen master Shunryu Suzuki said, "You are perfect just as you are, and you could use a little improvement." This path doesn't shame you, it quietly invites you. No overnight transformation, just one step after another toward peace. In the noise of the modern world, the Noble Eightfold Path is like a calm trail leading home. It's not an escape from life, but a way to live fully, awake, compassionate, and unafraid, right here in the middle of everything. The Noble Eightfold Path becomes alive only when it walks with us through the messy, unpredictable texture of daily life. It's not meant to sit in a book or echo softly in a meditation hall. It's for the mornings when you wake up already tired, the awkward conversations at work, the restless scrolling at midnight. To follow this path is to bring wisdom into the ordinary, where suffering usually hides. Take right view again, but now picture it on a normal Monday. You open your phone and see someone else's perfect vacation, and envy flares up. You think, their life is better than mine. Right view asks, is that thought true? Or is it a passing story your mind invented? By simply noticing that craving, you've interrupted its power. The Buddha once said in the Samyutta Nikaya, "With our thoughts we make the world." Seeing the story as a story loosens its hold. Instead of spiraling into comparison, you might return to gratitude for what's already here. Or think about right intention during conflict. A coworker blames you for a mistake you didn't make. Anger rises, of course it does. But before you shoot back a biting reply, there's that sliver of space. If you fill it with the intention of goodwill rather than retaliation, you don't suppress your truth. You simply choose not to add more harm. A Zen saying goes, "The one who is flexible is never broken." This intention to bend, not break, transforms the tone of the whole conversation. Right speech shows up countless times a day, usually in small ways. It's resisting the urge to gossip because it would score you a moment of connection at someone else's expense. It's telling a friend the truth about a mistake, but doing so without humiliation. It's being brave enough to say, "I'm sorry," when ego wants silence. Thich Nhat Hanh wrote, "Words can travel thousands of miles. They can destroy or they can heal." In a world where casual cruelty travels faster than compassion, every word becomes a quiet act of rebellion. Right action can be disarmingly simple. Holding the door for a stranger, returning the extra change the cashier accidentally gave, choosing not to cheat when no one's watching. These aren't grand gestures. They're stitches holding the moral fabric of daily life together. One Zen master once said that the way you wash a bowl reveals your heart. Ordinary action, done with care, is already part of the path. When it comes to right livelihood, the questions become deeply personal. Maybe you can't leave your job tomorrow, but you can ask, does my work add to greed, fear, or harm? Or does it serve something meaningful? A nurse who treats patients kindly, a teacher who sees the child beyond the test scores, even a business owner who refuses shady deals, all are practicing right livelihood. It's not about perfection, it's about integrity. The Buddha compared this to food. If we eat what nourishes us, we grow strong. If we eat poison, we weaken ourselves. The work we do feeds our heart the same way. Right effort is one of the most misunderstood aspects. Many think it means hustling harder. But the Buddha spoke of effort as balanced energy, avoiding laziness, but also avoiding frantic strain. It's the effort to notice when unwholesome thoughts appear and gently let them go. It's the quiet decision to water seeds of patience, generosity, and calm each day. Think of a gardener. She doesn't scream at the weeds. She just keeps pulling them, watering the good plants season after season. Right mindfulness is perhaps the most practical tool modern people can borrow. It's pausing in the middle of a stressful day to feel your breath. It's tasting your coffee instead of scrolling news you'll forget in 5 minutes. It's noticing tension in your shoulders and softening it. The Buddha said, "Be mindful, monks, of the body in the body." He meant, live in your body, don't drift like a ghost. Simple awareness can dissolve anxiety before it hardens into suffering. Right concentration brings a calm strength that the modern, distracted mind desperately needs. We live with endless notifications, always split between screens. Concentration is the counter-medicine, sitting with a task and not fleeing after 30 seconds. When you read, read. When you meditate, stay. When you listen, really listen. Zen Master Dogen taught, to study the self is to forget the self. Concentration lets you lose that restless, hungry self in the deep presence of the moment. What's striking is how these 8 aspects support each other. Right view helps you see why kindness matters. Right intention keeps your kindness from turning fake. Right mindfulness helps you catch harmful speech before it escapes. Right concentration gives you the strength to stay steady when life gets loud. It's a living ecosystem, not a checklist. And this isn't about moral superiority, it's about freedom. Each time you choose honesty over deceit, patience over rage, awareness over autopilot, you suffer less. You become less reactive, less trapped by craving and fear. As Zen Master Hakuin wrote, meditation in the midst of action is 1,000 times superior to meditation in stillness. The path was never about running away. It's about waking up where you already stand. Modern life loves quick fixes, but the Eightfold Path is a slow revolution. It doesn't promise instant bliss. It promises depth. It promises a mind that doesn't panic every time plans change. A heart that doesn't collapse every time someone disappoints you. And slowly, that's worth more than any shortcut. The Buddha didn't hand down these teachings to create saints on pedestals. He gave them to ordinary people, merchants, farmers, parents, so they could live with less fear and more love. The path doesn't pull you out of the world. It helps you walk through it without losing yourself. Bit by bit, as you practice, you notice something. Life still has difficulty, but it no longer owns you. Joy appears in small, unadvertised moments. A breath, a smile, a meal shared. You stop running quite so hard because you realize there is nowhere to run to. Peace was here, waiting the whole time. Life does not wrap itself neatly the way we hope. Even after learning and practicing the Eightfold Path, we stumble. Anger returns when we least expect it. Desire sneaks in, wearing the mask of ambition. Fear of loss rises and shakes the calm we worked so hard to build. The Buddha never promised that practice would turn us into cold statues untouched by the world. He promised understanding, and understanding changes everything. When anger comes, a practitioner doesn't become immune. They become awake. They know, as the Buddha said in the Majjhima Nikaya, whatever is subject to arising is subject to cessation. Anger is a wave, not an identity. Knowing this doesn't make the wave vanish instantly, but it keeps us from drowning. When craving whispers that one more success, one more purchase, one more lover will finally complete us, we can smile gently and say, "Ah, I know this voice." This is right view maturing, not cold detachment, but wise tenderness toward our own humanity. As right intention deepens, choices become less about showing the world a polished self and more about ending needless suffering. A person who has practiced long enough no longer fights every slight. They stop writing mental revenge speeches on the way home. The Zen master Bankei Yotaku said, "Your own true nature is the unborn Buddha mind. Do not try to become Buddha. Just stop wandering away." The Eightfold Path is not a climb to some higher self. It is a return to the one that was always there before fear and craving clouded it. Right speech turns from a rule into a natural rhythm. In the beginning, You bite your tongue not to gossip or lash out. Later, truth and kindness weave into the way you speak without effort. You realize honesty can be firm and still compassionate. When someone wrongs you, you can name it without poison. When someone suffers, you can speak words that heal. In the Dhammapada, the Buddha taught, "Speak only the speech that does not wound. Speech that is well spoken is like a jewel." Over time, your language itself becomes a refuge for those around you. Right action and right livelihood also evolve. At first, they might feel like heavy ethical questions. Am I doing harm? Is this job right? But with practice, integrity becomes almost effortless. You stop needing to cheat or cut corners because your peace is worth more than a quick win. You may even feel drawn toward work that truly nourishes life. The Buddha called this samma ajiva, livelihood in harmony with the way. For some, it's a big career change. For others, it's simply infusing an existing job with honesty and compassion. A teacher who refuses to humiliate students, a doctor who refuses unnecessary procedures for profit, a business owner who treats employees fairly. These are modern echoes of right livelihood. Right effort matures quietly. Early on, effort feels like war, fighting distraction, forcing calm, wrestling desire. Over time, it becomes care, like watering a plant. You know which seeds, patience, generosity, calm, need water. You know which weeds, anger, envy, greed, to let dry out. When you fail, you don't punish yourself. You simply return. This steady, forgiving persistence is far more powerful than self-criticism. Zen Master Dogen wrote, "A flower falls even though we love it. A weed grows even though we do not love it." Right effort accepts this and just keeps tending the garden. Right mindfulness becomes a way of inhabiting the world. Ordinary life starts to shine. The hum of traffic on a rainy evening, the way sunlight touches a kitchen table, the warmth of tea in your hands. Things you once overlooked become small miracles. The Buddha described mindfulness as the direct path for the purification of beings. It's not escape, it's intimacy with life. Many discover that anxiety eases, not because the world got safer, but because their presence got deeper. Right concentration, so difficult in the age of constant pings and screens, strengthens with time. At first, the mind leaps like a wild puppy. Slowly, it learns to stay. You can read a page without reaching for your phone, meditate without endless fidgeting, work with a depth that feels nourishing rather than exhausting. This ability to stay, to not flee from boredom, discomfort, or silence, is one of the greatest freedoms modern people can taste. It's the quiet power behind creativity, empathy, and joy. Together, these 8 elements stop feeling like separate disciplines. They begin to form a seamless way of being. Right view feeds right intention, which shapes right speech. Mindfulness supports concentration, which fuels wise effort. Livelihood and action align with the vision of a free heart. The Buddha compared the path to tuning a lute. Too tight and the string will break. Too loose and it will not play. The Eightfold Path teaches the art of tuning a life, balanced, responsive, alive. What's beautiful is that this path isn't about becoming special. It's about becoming free. Each time you choose honesty over deceit, patience over rage, awareness over autopilot, you suffer less. You're no longer tossed helplessly by craving and fear. You begin to notice the stillness beneath the noise. Zen Master Hakuin said, Meditation in the midst of action is 1,000 times superior to meditation in stillness. This is where the Eightfold Path lives, not in retreat from the world, but in the thick of it. Peace here is not passive, it's resilient. Bills still arrive, children still cry, relationships still require work. But panic fades, presence grows. You meet what comes with steadier breath. You laugh more easily. You forgive yourself for being human. The world hasn't changed, but you have. The Buddha's invitation was radical for its simplicity. Freedom is possible in this very life, not because pain disappears, but because we learn to walk with it without being destroyed. Dogen put it beautifully. To study the way is to study the self. To study the self is to forget the self. To forget the self is to be awakened by all things. When clinging loosens, the world stops being an enemy or a prize. It simply is, and it's enough. So the Noble Eightfold Path closes not with fireworks, but with an open door. See clearly, intend kindness, speak truth, act with care, earn a living that doesn't wound. Put forth balanced effort, stay awake in each breath, focus on what matters. Walk imperfectly, stumble, begin again. The path is patient. And as you keep walking, something extraordinary happens in very ordinary moments. Suffering loosens. Joy doesn't need chasing. And peace quietly takes root where you stand. This is not an escape from life. It's life lived awake, messy, compassionate, deeply human, and quietly free. When you have walked this far, the Eightfold Path stops feeling like a philosophy you study and begins to feel like the ground beneath your feet. It no longer belongs to the past, to monks in distant temples, or to stories from ancient India. It belongs to the moment you choose patience over rage at a traffic light, the moment you speak truth with kindness in a tense meeting, the moment you put down your phone and breathe for the first time all day. It belongs to your life. This is where practice becomes living. You don't have to remember each part as a checklist. Instead, the qualities arise naturally. Clear seeing shows up as honesty with yourself. Kind intention colors how you treat strangers and loved ones. Mindfulness slips into simple acts: cooking, driving, listening. Concentration begins to appear as quiet strength in a noisy world. Even effort changes, less about pushing and more about returning again and again to what matters. The Buddha's path is sometimes called the middle way, neither indulgence nor harsh denial. Modern life swings between those extremes, the urge to numb ourselves with endless entertainment, and the urge to punish ourselves with impossible standards. The middle way cuts through both. It says, live awake, without clinging, without cruelty. You don't have to escape pleasure, and you don't have to drown in it. You don't have to destroy the ego, and you don't have to worship it. You simply need to walk with balance and wisdom. Zen masters have always known how ordinary this is. A famous saying goes, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. Bills, deadlines, heartbreak, they don't vanish. But your relationship to them changes. Pain still knocks at the door, but fear no longer drags you away. Success still comes and goes, but you're not trapped on its leash. You become free in the middle of the same life you've always had. And in that freedom, compassion blooms. Once you stop being at war with yourself, it's easier to stop being at war with others. You begin to understand the quiet struggles of people around you. The coworker who snaps because they're scared. The stranger who cuts in line because they feel invisible. The loved one who clings because they fear loss. The Eightfold Path doesn't turn you into someone soft and weak. It makes you deeply human, able to stand steady and still keep your heart open. Sometimes we think of spiritual growth as climbing to a high, private mountain where life can't touch us. The Buddha offered the opposite. Step back into the market, into family, into the world, but do it with eyes open. This is why Zen teachers laugh easily. They know awakening isn't solemn. It's light, fluid, and alive. It's eating a simple meal and tasting every bite. It's holding a child's hand without distraction. It's meeting grief without losing yourself. The Eightfold Path doesn't end. It unfolds. Some days you'll feel clear and steady. Other days you'll get lost in distraction or anger. That's not failure. That's the path itself. Walking, losing the trail, returning. Each return is awakening. Each stumble teaches humility. Each moment of clarity is a small liberation. Over time, these small liberations weave into a quiet, unshakable peace. The Buddha said, "As the mighty ocean has but one taste, the taste of salt, so too does my teaching have but one taste, the taste of freedom." That is the heart of this path. Freedom from blind craving, from useless hatred, from the restless hunger that drives so much suffering. Freedom to meet life as it is and still find joy. If you listen closely, you may realize this freedom isn't somewhere far away. It's already here, in your breath, in your next choice, in this very moment. Each time you choose awareness over autopilot, kindness over harm, honesty over illusion, you step into it. The Eightfold Path isn't a destination, it's the walking itself. So walk gently, walk patiently, walk with courage and curiosity. Some days it will feel effortless, some days clumsy. It doesn't matter. The path is patient. It has waited for you for thousands of years. It will wait as long as it takes. And every step, however imperfect, is a step out of confusion and into peace. If this teaching resonates, keep exploring it. Sit quietly, even for a minute a day. Practice speaking with kindness. Question the stories craving tells you. Notice where your work, your words, your choices touch the world. These are not small things. They are the way to transform a life. And if this conversation has touched something in you, a longing for clarity, for freedom, for compassion, remember, you don't have to chase them far away. They are here, ready to be lived, one breath and one choice at a time.